Prof, how important is a gathering such as this?
The gathering is of critical importance. It brings in, as you have rightly put it, people of the global south from Latin America, Africa, and the larger Asia. And they exchange ideas, formulate policy, as well as deal with day-to-day global issues, issues such as climate change, new technologies, and how best to accelerate development in different forms, education exchanges. So this was one of the lacking part of the global south historically. And therefore, I think you see the strengthening of broadcast to broadcast researchers and researchers from different countries. And it is therefore critical going forward.
The South African delegation, what do you think you'll be bringing to the table and also hoping to take away?
Yeah, I think for each one of us, we're looking at partnering with important role players in different continents to share ideas on a host of things that affects South Africa, the African continent, and ensure that we learn from others as well as them learning from us. So this is quite important, opening new networks of researchers and new ways of doing things. So this is quite critical as we deal with common challenges that we face as people of the South.
Talking about doing things differently, how do you see a forum like this positioning Africa differently compared to traditional global North led platforms?
I think what this forum does is to diversify news. I think we have excellent relationship with the global north. However, it is dominated mainly by the global north. They generate the news, they do the research, and Africans are recipients. They are at receiving. They only receive news. And in this kind of forum, we get to hear news from different areas and generate in a way from an African perspective, having something to share to the world. I think that's quite critical than your normal Western-driven news and knowledge generation.
Do you think that we need to put up our hands a little bit because nothing has stopped us from consuming news within, as it were, the global south? For some reason, when we switch on our TVs and our radios, as you say, these voices from the global north seem to dominate. But it seems to me that often that's a choice that we make. Is it a question of changing our thinking?
Oh yeah, it's change of our thinking is required. I think much is being achieved at the level of the African Union and the AU Agenda 2063. But practically, I mean, there hasn't been any major achievements when it comes to have African-driven news research in a coordinated, coherent way. And I think we're starting to see news from below, uncoordinated and at times not presented in a professional way. So I think being here, you learn more. It is important to have adequate resources and ensure you also have news anchors and researchers understanding how to advance an African agenda from an African perspective. And therefore, I think going forward, it is quite critical. As much as we have issues with the global north dominated news, we have to ensure that even among ourselves as global south, we are not dominated by fellow global south partners. And therefore, it's high time for Africans to really raise their hand and do the work in a manner that advances the interest of the continent.
So, how do we, as the global south, reach the minds of the global north? Because those audiences, I don't think they realize how much is being put into their minds without their knowledge. And then they form impressions about the global south, particularly our continent, Africa. How do we reach them and maybe overcome what's being fed to them by the global north media?
I think there's a lot that is required in terms of knowledge on how to produce news. All continents have major achievements as well as challenges. It appears to me that at times we are our own worst enemies. We tend to focus mainly on challenges and present them in a way that does not present the continent well globally. And therefore, I think the world looks at the continent from a negative perspective. And therefore, I think we need to mix the news and the research, covering all the achievements we're making, the good things that are happening on the continent, as well as the bad, in a manner that really represent the continent, instead of looking at a negative, dying Africa, diseased and hopelessness, which is not the case. The continent is huge with 1.4 billion people, rich in soil, rich in forestry, and so many things that the world does not have and do admire. And that's one of the things that attracts so many people to the continent. And we wonder why so many people are attracted to our continent, without really taking advantage of those issues and package them in a way that advance the future generation of Africans.
We've run out of time, but one last question, if you could answer briefly as well. Universities and research centers, such as you're involved in, have a wealth of expertise, and I'm just wondering how we can better work as broadcasters, media organizations, with institutions and tertiary institutions such as yours to improve the quality of public policy debate across the continent.
Oh, indeed. I think our role is to research, to ensure that whatever that we research is also policy orientated, is actionable, and advance from that angle in the same agenda of bettering the continent.
Professor David Monyae, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and thanks for your insights on this CUP forum that you're participating in. Thanks for your time.
Most welcome.
Thank you. That was Professor